Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video, we will discuss the changes, events, and influence of English language in 18th century. 18th century means starting from 1701 or 1700 to 1799. These 100 years they are included in 18th century. There were very major changes in English language as well as in literature also. In this video, we will confine our study, restrict our discussion only to language, not to literature. First of all, let us discuss what were the major events in 18th century. There was industrial revolution. First of all, now what industrial revolution was? Industrial revolution is establishment of factories and establishment of industry. As nowadays we listen on TV talk shows and news channels, and in different statements given by Prime Minister Imran Khan that we are going to mobilize our country or we are going to industrialize our country. So industrialize means to establish as many factories and as much industry as we can. This industrial revolution it started in 1760 in England and it ended in 1840. In industrial revolution, before that, people in England they used to live in villages, as we have our rural areas. But with the industrial revolution, when these factories were established, industry was established, people they migrated to cities as well as they started living in towns because to meet the needs of industry and to go every day in factory to do their job, it was very difficult, and it is usually very difficult for the labor to attend the factory timings within the given time unless and until they are living close to it. So it was a change from rural to urban areas. From villages people they migrated to cities and they started living in towns. And due to the industrial revolution, there was an economic boom. Economic boom was in a way that people they started earning much more than before. As far as a small landlord is concerned, who's owning few acres of land, and he gets the income after 6 months or after 3 months when his crop is sold in market. But when a person is doing a job, he gets his salary after 15 days and in many countries after 30 days. So the rotation of wealth was much higher as compared to the rural life. So, due to the economic circulation or wealth circulation, books they were printed, and it was easy for the people to purchase the books as they had the money to purchase it. Before that, the this availability of books and the capacity of people to purchase the books was not as higher as it was in 18th century. So this industrial revolution actually brought people uh, close to the books as they were having the capacity to buy it. And one thing was that because of the industrial revolution, the words that were related to industry, that were related to factories, that were related to the material used in the factories, the jobs, they were the new words they were in use. Before that, because there is a lot of difference, the labor who's working in a factory, they have typical terms and words they communicate with each other. A man, a farmer who's living in a village, he is having his own typical words of farming that he can communicate. So in this way, the new words they were introduced. Specifically, when anything new is introduced in any society, new words come. As we have these mobiles and androids, so many of us have come across new words that have come into our mind just because of the invention and availability of these mobile phones. Before that, we did not have just 20 years ago. There was no such criteria or there were no such words they were used by the people as they are used now by the invention and by the use of these mobile phones. So you can take example of it when defining industrial revolution, that whenever there is something new is introduced in a society, new words they are also introduced as the new invention has new material, the new invention has new specifications, so people have to move towards that specification while communicating about that specific matter or specific material. Then we had in 18th century we come across that there was American Revolution from 1775 to 1783. Again, it was once America was ruled by British, as our subcontinent was ruled by the British. So due to the paying of taxes and other reasons, the Americans they revolted, and it was the period from 1775 to 83, about 8 years. It is known as a period of American Revolution, where America was stabilized and it got strengthened and started standing on its own resources. Then we had French Revolution, the famous French Revolution. It was from 1789 to 1799. So these were all the revolutions that took place in 18th century, and due to this revolution, the mindset of the people and the words the people they were speaking they were changed. As the mindset was changed, definitely we can assume that their linguistic capability or the use of words or changes in words are quite natural when revolutions when revolution it actually happen in a society or it occur in a society. So new words they were introduced, or new type of grammars, new type of meanings of the words they were introduced in this 18th century. So remember, industrial revolution, economic boom, American Revolution and French Revolution were the major events that took place in 18th century that actually molded the way, molded the thinking of the people, that changed the thinking of the people. Then we have this time was in literature we call it an age of enlightenment. Age of enlightenment means to know about the reality, to know about something that is new. Like if someone is living in darkness and suddenly comes into sunshine, so from darkness of knowledge people they came into to light of knowledge. So this is what we call age of enlightenment. And the ideas they were not in use and they were not implemented, they were implemented in this specific era. So these were the major events in 18th century. So let's talk about the linguistic features of 18th century. First of all, the standardization of spellings that has been a major problem for when we read the history of English language. We come across in Old English the spellings were different, then in Middle English the spellings were different, and then it was 18th century, 17th and 18th century where spellings of different words they were standardized. So there was after 18th century we hardly come across any specific or any marginal changes of spellings in words. So this was the time when spellings they were standardized. Use of, definitely there was use of new words that I have already explained. Then there was standardize, refine, and fix the language. Standardize, refine means again the spellings and the grammar. So the spellings were changed and the grammatical rules were introduced in English language. Before that, English language was under the influence of Latin grammar, Latin language grammar. But this was first time that English language it started uh, having its own grammatical rules and having its own grammar in languages. That we will discuss in our next video about it in details. Then idea of ascertainment, it was it means to know about the reality, to know about the facts. So this was the time when people they started knowing about the facts. It is also known as a period of scientific revolution, because revolutions in science, literature, art, they were at a higher pace in this 18th century. And the major contribution of 18th century to languages is the compile of dictionaries and uh, introduction of grammar, standardization of grammar. Now about dictionaries, before 18th century there was no dictionary of English language. It was first time that dictionary was compiled by, there was another writer who compiled it, but that dictionary could not get that much fame. But you can say the first dictionary was compiled by Samuel Johnson, who wrote Preface to Shakespeare, the famous piece of criticism. So, in this period, in 18th century, English language grammar, dictionaries and grammars, they were compiled and they were made available for the common people. Before that, it was a thought that compiling all the words of one language into one book is simply not a good idea, not an applicable idea. So people, they believe that it is never possible. But first time with the definition of the words, it was Samuel Johnson who defined words in his dictionary, and that dictionary has a famous contribution in English language in 18th century. And after that, again the Samuel Johnson, the standardization of words, as we talk about the spellings, because this was first time all the spellings and all the words of English language, they were compiled in one book, Dictionary of English Language by Samuel Johnson. So the idea is very clear. When all the words they were written in one dictionary, it means they were written with standardized spellings. So the spellings they were written by Samuel Johnson, you can say that was the first authentic piece of document or authentic dictionary or book that actually paved way for to make the spelling standardized. Like we have our dictionaries, the spellings are written in the dictionary. If there is any change of the word or any change in spelling, that will be given in the next edition. So before that there was nothing compiled. As the words they started they were compiled by Samuel Johnson, so automatically their definition of the words and the spellings, they were standardized because they were written. Then we have uh, the label of hard words, because there were many words they were taken from Latin or Greek languages, and they were technically very difficult words. It was very difficult for people to understand them. So the hard words, they were also explained in those dictionaries, and hard words, they were also a major influence of 18th century. So a lot of work was done on hard words. Hard words means the difficult words or words taken from Latin and Greek languages. And definitely the words from Latin and Greek languages, they were difficult for the English speakers. So and in the 18th century, writing dictionaries and writing became a specific, you can say, a kind of business and a kind of a recognized activity or recognized industry. And many of the scholars, many of the publishers, those who published the books, they had contract with the writers to write their books and get published from their specific companies. So it became a business at that time, because people were able to purchase books and writers were writing books, and because of those, the printing of the books were published in hundreds and thousands, and they were available for the people. So it became actually, due to the availability of the books and due to the writing of books on grammar and writing the dictionaries, the grammar and words and spellings, they were standardized. Then we have in 18th century the major contribution of Dr. Samuel Johnson. He wrote a dictionary, he wrote Preface to Shakespeare. He is a well-known literary figure in English literature, but his contribution of writing English language dictionary is he deserves a lot more appreciation than other writers of English language by writing his dictionary, because this dictionary actually made everything standardized. The words they were standardized according to their grammatical category, means verb, adverbs, nouns, pronouns, and their spellings were also standardized. And first time in a dictionary, there's definition of the words, the meaning of the words with complete definition were given. So a small overview of Samuel Johnson Dictionary we will discuss. First of all, it was published in 1755, and it is also considered first authentic English dictionary. And it took him almost 8 years to compile the dictionary, because first when he gave this idea to write a dictionary, everyone just laughed at him that it was quite difficult. This thought it is probably impossible to compile all the words of one language in one dictionary when there was no authentic source to find out the words. So he had to go in different areas, or he had to meet with different people to find out the words. He actually wrote 40,000 words in his dictionary, and those 40,000 words, they were actually all the words from English language, from other dialects of also, though the words and the dialects they were spoken in Britain territory. And he defined the words, and this was one way to standardize the language. This video is actually an overview of 18th century major events and other things, but as far as the standardization of spellings, the deviation of words and grammatical categories, that we will discuss in our next video about 18th century influence of 18th century on English language. And we will also discuss about Swift's proposal, a famous one in English literature and languages. So they all had influence on English language. Differentiated that we are moving towards modern English, from old to middle and middle to modern. Actually, this period is called early modern English, from 17 to 1800. It is early modern English, and then it moves on to modern English that we use today. So the further discussion about the influence of English, 18th century influence on English language, that will be discussed in our next video.